We've just concluded in Job chapter 31. Grace and peace, hope all is well. Take care of yourself. We just concluded in Job chapter 31, his final speech in the series of 3 rounds with his friends. Job ends on a note of declaring his innocence. He ends on a note of demanding an audience with God. And it ends, the speeches of Job and his friends, almost with Job's friends nodding and saying, yeah, oh, you were right. You were innocent. God, it ends up almost with Job's friends siding with Job where they had initial issues with Job from the very beginning. It's very interesting how we ended in chapter 31 with the speech of Job. We're introduced now to Elihu. Job chapter 32, in fact, chapters 32 through 37, 24, will be the speech of Elihu. Job, again, chapter 32 through the end of chapter 34 or 37, 24. Please take the time and just sit down and read it. And you can do this in much less than an hour. And don't worry about names, places, and all. Just read it to feel and pick up the emotion of Elihu. I need you to do that, and we will introduce chapter 32 in this session, and then we will come back and possibly 1 or 2 sessions. We will finish chapters 32 through 37. We won't need a week or a lesson for each one, because the theme is pretty consistent. Elihu, we meet him for the first time. Apparently, he's been sitting here listening all along. Now, why they didn't introduce him in the 3rd chapter, 2nd chapter with the others, why there's no mention to him at all, I find that baffling, but it's very obvious in chapter 32 that he has been there, I want to say, the whole time. Now, whether he got there after they had already started talking and got in late on the conversation, we don't know. But when you listen to Elihu, it's apparent that he has been listening the whole time. Second thing that comes out of that, and I'm going to walk through this as you find Job chapter 32, he seems to have held his peace because he was young. But some of you will remember that young people or children are to be seen and not heard. When older people were talking, young folk just didn't jump in like you were appearing having the part of the conversation. That's what we were going to see in Elihu. That's the understanding that Elihu had. And apparently, it's amazing when you look at this. Apparently, he has taken enough. And he's about to burst. And so this is where we find him. And just a little background on Elihu, the Baruch shell. It just depends on how you use the Hebrew enunciations for his name, meaning El, meaning God with us. El, letters like Yahweh or Elohim means God. So we find Elihu is introduced and his clan. And his name means God has blessed. Buz, B-U-Z. Interesting. Please notice Genesis chapter 22. And I'm not sure of what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it because I think I'm right. I'm not so sure that Elihu is not a distant cousin of Job by clan. Very interesting. But what did I say? Genesis chapter 22, pick up in verse 20. Genesis 22, 20. And we're looking for the name B-U-Z, Buz. You have it? Now, after these things, it was told Abraham, and then go all the way down. Milcah also bore children to your brother Nahor, Uz and Uz the firstborn, and Buz, B-U-Z, his brother. Wait a minute, Abraham. So you've got two names. Where was Job from? Pick up and remember Job 1? Job from the land of what? Uz. The name of Abraham's brother's child. Uz and Buz. Clans, different clans. So in all probability, when you read this, it's a strong possibility that Elihu could have been a second or third cousin, or possibly a great nephew or great great nephew of Job. You see the names? Those are clans. When you trace it back, Uz, Job from the land of Uz. And places were generally named after clans and persons. Job's tribe, Job 1:1, the man from the land of Uz. Ruth 4:19, where you pick up the name Ram, and you find that this Ram was of the lineage of Obed, Jesse, David. Just showing some relationships that were going on in this text. And you can always run some references to get more information about the background of this enigmatic figure, Elihu. Let's start. Job 32:1. See if you pick up on this. So these three men ceased to answer Job. Okay, this is a narrative, okay? The narrator is saying now, Job in 31 has spoken, and the words of Job ended. And generally, when one will speak, the other will follow. Remember that we found that through this 31 chapters. One speak, Job responds. One speak, Job responds. Now, there is no response by the three friends to Job's last discourse. You see, Job's speech ended. So these three men cease to answer Job. Why? Because he was righteous in his own eyes. You see? They finally got to that, well, we can't convince this brother that he had messed up and that something is going on and something is wrong, and I don't know what this is. So they stopped answering Job. Listen to the reason. Because he was righteous in their own eyes. Remember for 31 chapters, it said, Job, you've done something wrong. You've sinned. If you hadn't, you wouldn't. But back and forth. What has happened? They're now saying, look at your narrative right there. Because he was righteous in his own eyes. And that's totally chapters 29 and 30 and 31 that you see that argument from Job. Then Elihu, son of Barachel, the Buzite, remember Buz, add to it Buzite, that would be the clan of the family of Ram, became angry. Wait a minute, new word here, became angry. Okay, we don't know anything about him. We haven't heard anything from him. You see, so apparently he has been listening to what's been going on. Angry. Let me just read through this and come back and pick at it. Can I do that? It's amazing. Pick up now. Now remember, remember he's angry. He was angry at Job because he justified himself rather than God. He was angry also at Job's three friends because they had found no answer, though they had declared Job to be wrong. Now Elihu had waited to speak to Job because they were older than he. But when Elihu saw that there was no answer in the mouths of these three men, he became angry. Now you got an angry young man. He's listened. Are you listening to this text? He has listened and listened. He's going back and forth. He's going back and forth and listen and listen. And you can only take so much. You're going to see that when you look at this chapter. It's amazing. And there's some things that you'll see that I won't say, but you're going to see. He was full of something. And he wasn't going to take no more. Y'all picking up. You see, he's angry. Did it ever say any of the other three friends were angry? They had pity. They had remorse. They had deep empathy for Job, but it never said that they were angry. Angry characterizes Elihu. He was angry against the self-righteous attitude of Job. He's listened to Job over and over again. And he's at the point now that he's angry, notice, at the self-righteous attitude of Job. That's one. Don't skip by that. Two, directed at Job's three friends, he was angry at Job's three friends because of their inability to refute Job's previous discourse, specifically the protestation of his innocence. He's saying, y'all have talked about wisdom. You're old, you're wise. You talked about wisdom. You've listened to him talk all this time, and not one of you have refuted and got this guy to see that he's wrong. And then he's angry because of Job's insistence upon having a hearing with God, i.e., or having a lawsuit against God. How do you have, listen, a human being, how do you talk about I got an issue with God? Listen to the text. I got an issue with God. I got some issues with this Christian stuff. I got some issues, man. Issues? The created, and I've got to be very careful that I don't get preachy here. Issues with the Creator? That's like having issues with your mom and daddy, and they still feeding you, letting you stay rent-free. You're eating out of the refrigerator. They're putting gas in your car, keeping up your debit card, and you walking around the house talking about you got an attitude because ain't no 2-liter drink or pizza in the house. Work with me with this, y'all. I'm serious. You've got children staying at home with parents and having issues with their mama and their daddy. And they're grown. Washing their clothes, folding, and then folding them up. You come in and drop your coat. Mama pick up your coat and hang up your coat with your grown self. Then you sit down and plop in a chair and talk about what's for dinner. I told you, I'm not angry, but it sounds like it, don't it? That's Elihu. Y'all picked it up. That's what I want you to have. I want you to pick that up. Something that simple. And then you rock on. I'm sorry, honey. I didn't mean it. What do you want me to order for you? I'll order all right. I'm sorry. Come on back to Bible study. Maybe y'all need to pray for me right here. But that troubles me. And Elihu has that same kind of troubled attitude, and he's angry. Don't you tell me that Christians don't get angry. You just don't stay angry. But if you're honest with yourself, with your nice self, and I know you're nice. I know you're nice. But this is what he is. He's angry. He's angry at Job because, and I'm repeating, because of Job's claim of self-righteousness. He's angry with Job's friends because Job's friends have not rebutted nor corrected him in his argument for self-righteousness. And then he's angry with Job further because of Job being a human being, arguing that he wants an audience with God. So here he is. So now we find in chapters 32 through 37, this guy, Elihu, is going to, can I say, use the word defend God? We'll find another word before we finish. He's arguing and going to argue, well, who do you think you are that God should just stop and come and sit down and put you on his lap and pat your forehead because you have a headache? Who do you think you are that you can demand that from God? Demand. Beyond prayer, beyond request, I demand an audience with God. Where is he? Where I could find him? Elihu is filled up, and he's tired of it, and he's angry. And so you're going to hear an angry young man speaking for the next 5 chapters. Don't run past that. Keep that attitude of his anger throughout the remainder of chapters 32 through 37. Keep it. Don't sway from that. Everything that you hear him say, remember, this is an angry young man. And why he's angry. He's defending God. The second thing that I would want you to notice and take it away from this. Elihu, with an apology, speaks about his inability and being unqualified because he is a youth to talk like he's talking. He gives this up front. Hey, listen, I'm a young man and I probably know what I'm talking about, but I got to say something. And the precedent for this, there are 3 references that I want you to notice, and I want you to take the time to read them. One is in Judges chapter 6, verse 15. Gideon is the personality. When God tells Gideon that he wants to lead an army, Gideon comes back and says, wait a minute, I can't do that. Said, I'm from one of the smallest tribes. I don't have any preparation. I don't have anything. Gideon argues for why he shouldn't do it. Second one is 1 Samuel 9:29. And that's Saul. Saul, as he is now being appointed the first king of Israel, says, hey, wait a minute, I'm unqualified. I'm not the right man to do this. How do I be a king? I'm just a servant in my daddy's house. Again, disqualifying because of youth, capabilities, and clan size. 3, Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 6. When Jeremiah says, I'm only a youth. I can't talk. I can't talk, on and on. We could do the Moses piece. I got impediment of speech. Over and over, there are examples in the text where persons felt unqualified because of their clan, because of their stature, and because of their age to speak truth to power. Elihu is in that same tradition. Chapter 32 is divided into 3 major sections. 1, the right to answer. That's verses 2 through 9, or some will say 6 through 9. After the introduction of verses 1 through 5 of chapter 32, the right to answer. We're going to work with these. Second, or B, the need to answer. Job. The right to answer. The need to answer. C, the compulsion to answer. That's 32:17 through 22. The right to answer, the need to answer, the compulsion to answer. Let's look at the text. Y'all okay? We got a little more time, right? Be patient. We got a little more time, and we'll quit in just a minute or two. But I want to get through this first chapter, this 32nd chapter. Let's pick up in verse number 6. We've already dealt with the anger. Remember, a young man who feels unqualified because of his youth, talking to older men who have more experience, who are supposed to be wiser, who are supposed to know, talking to Job, who may have been a distant cousin and certainly of a different clansman, clan in the sense of group of people, and all tracing their relationships back to Father Abraham and Nahor, his brother, that these are clans. And then remember, you're not talking California and Toronto, Canada, all right? You're talking geographically Charlotte, Lancaster, Rock Hill, York, Gaston County. This is the kind of small geographical area that you're talking about. You're not talking thousands of miles apart, but maybe 20, 30 miles, 50 at the most, a walking distance of one another. Remember, they walked to where Job was, or either rode camel. You with me? Okay. Let's look at the first part of this, the right to answer. Elihu, son of Barachel, the Buzite, answered, I am young in years, and you're aged. Remember, he's angry. So he probably wouldn't say it quite as, I'm young in years. I'm young in years, and you're old. Therefore, I was timid and afraid to declare my opinion to you. I said, let days speak, and many years teach wisdom. But truly, it is a spirit in a mortal, the breath of the Almighty, that makes for understanding. It is not old that are wise. Just because you're old, that don't mean you got sense. But that's paraphrase. Nor the age that understand what is right. You can be old and just as wrong as a deacon used to say, if two left shoes. He's angry. It's not exactly a compliment that he's giving them. He's arguing for the right to answer. You see, remember that? See it now? I'm not arguing. I don't have the right to, but I need to say something. That just because you're aged, old, that doesn't make you wise. And just because you're older than I am, that don't mean you have more understanding than I do. And in fact, you're breathing the breath of the Almighty just like I am. Let days speak, and let many years teach wisdom. Verse 7. Notice clearly in verse number 6 as you work back and forth through this. Therefore, I was timid and afraid to declare what? My own opinion. He came there with an opinion about what was going on with Job. He just hadn't said anything because he was young. And there was respect, and it ought to be, for the elders. So he sat back and he's listened. Days, months, but he's listened as a younger person, respecting the elders. And it's always right to respect the elders. Okay? He's honest with his feelings. I'm angry. There's healing when you're honest. You see someone talk about, are you angry? No, I ain't angry. Do I look like I'm angry to you? What makes you think I'm angry? Huh? Do I have a reason to be angry? No, I ain't angry. And furthermore, I don't want to talk about it. Come on, y'all. Sometimes we won't confess we're angry. But everything about us demonstrates we're angry. Our body language, our tone, the sharpness of our tone, the look in our eyes. You ask me if I'm angry. What you ask me if I'm angry for? Have you done something to make me angry? Yeah. Yeah, you have. Yes, you have. And that's what Elihu is saying. Yeah, I'm angry, and I have a reason to be angry. B, need to be angry. I find that interesting. It's a craft of words like that. Need to be angry. Let's look at verses 9, and we're going to just read these, and I may not do as much exposition as I want, but I've got some time to do this. Remember, he's angry. Don't forget that. It is not the old that are wise, nor the age that understand what is right. Verse 10. Therefore I say, listen to me. Let me also declare my opinion. See, I waited for your words. I listened for your wise sayings. While you searched out what to say, I gave you my attention. Underscore that. I gave you my attention. But there was, in fact, no one that confuted Job. No one among you that answered his words. Yet do not say, we have found wisdom. God may vanquish him, not a human. He has not directed his words against me, and I will not answer him with your speeches. 15. They are dismayed. They answered no more. They have not a word to say. And am I to wait because they do not speak? Because they stand there and answer no more? That's why he needs to say something. They're not saying anything. They listened. They watch. They said some words, but they ain't answered. Excuse me. They have not contributed in conversation to refute Job. Verse 17 through 22, and I stop. Remember, I have a right to answer. I have a need to answer. And now I have a compulsion to answer. All right? Why do you have to say something? I also will give my answer. I also will declare my opinion. For I'm full of words. The spirit within me constrains me. My heart is indeed like wine that has no vent. Like new wineskins, it is ready to burst. I must speak so that I may find relief. I must open my lips and answer. I will not show partiality to any person or use flattery towards anyone. For I do not know how to flatter, or my Maker would soon put an end to me. Really, if you erase that 33, in 34 and 35. It's really one speech, but literally they broke it up so that it wouldn't seem so long. It's like breaking up a long sentence. But now hear my speech, Job, and listen to all my words. See, I open my mouth. I'm in that's in 33 now. See, I open my mouth. The tongue in my mouth speaks. My words declare the uprightness of my heart. And what my lips know, they speak sincerely. Aha! The Spirit of God has made me, and the breath of the Almighty gives me life. Answer me if you can. And I stop right there. You see, we know who he is, Elihu. We know some of his background, biblical background as it relates to Genesis and the Buzite and Uz being clans, being the two elder sons of Nahor, the brother of Abraham. So in all probability, these are clansmen, and Elihu is in one of those clans, as was Job. So in all probability, there is some relationship. We know he's a young man. We know he has listened. We know that he came uninvited and sat and has heard the entire conversation. And now, as a young man, he has moved out of the realm of just being seen and not heard, and saying, listen, I've got to say something or I'm going to burst. I'm angry at all of y'all. We pick up next week. Amazing scripture, y'all. And, and just the word alone, angry. Said, I'm angry. And sometimes we can, if you don't get angry sometime, you may not be stable. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said it like that, but you don't have nothing bothers you. Nothing. Well, pray, Pastor. Pray and stop. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your love and presence in this time of sharing. Thank you for your Spirit that is holy. That is holy. That is holy. Thank you for the real persons and the person that we're meeting now in Elihu. Help us to feel what he felt, and I don't know what that means, but help us to have a better understanding of you through his expressions about you. We love you and thank you for this time, for we ask it all in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you. Take care of your health. See you next week.